And welcome, everyone, to another action-packed episode of the Push to Pass podcast. I am Derik Vance. As you see, I already have the other two gentlemen, and I use that term loosely, that make this program run. Welcome to episode 102. Yes, we have missed you, but more importantly, we have missed talking about IndyCar, and we do have a lot of things on the docket this evening to discuss. One of them, obviously, is the Indy 500 coming up here in just a little over a month. Some new formats that have been released by IndyCar that we're going to discuss. And then also we do have to preview the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach coming up this weekend as well. But before we get into any of that, let's introduce the other two gentlemen. Again, like I said, I use that term loosely, that make up the Push to Pass podcast. First, finally back from his hiatus, I guess where the rich people hang out in the water park in Cincinnati, Ohio. Good to have back on the show, Josh. Josh, how are you this evening?
I'm doing fantastic, guys. Yes, the hiatus in the water park where my child did not want to go into the water very much. But as my caption says, it's been a minute. We're going to be talking about some fun things here going into the big month next month. But before we get to that, we also have Long Beach we have to talk about. So can't wait. Golf and weather started. It's nice outside, and I am overjoyed to be on the podcast with you two today.
Speaking of golf, Josh, I know how avid golfer you are, and I know you just missed the Masters cut this year. But speaking of the Masters, what did you think of Rory McIlroy's performance, back-to-back Masters champion? I thought maybe Sunday that he was going to choke it away, but definitely Thursday through Saturday, he definitely put a whipping, as they say, on the field.
Well, Thursday and Friday is when he really did the most damage because he ended up being 12 under. Saturday, he didn't really choke it away. The third place guy, I can't remember who it was, and Scotty Scheffler. They just had fantastic Saturdays, and Rory he played par golf the rest of the last two days, and that's all he had to do. And him winning was a fantastic thing. For the longest time he was known as the guy that he just couldn't get it done, and finally he's got it done, and now he's a two-time champion, one of only 6 golfers to win the career Grand Slam, and one of only, I think, 4 golfers to win back-to-back Masters. So congratulations to him. On a sadder note, hopefully they can figure out the great one, Tiger Woods, and get him a driver. I'm not talking about a club. I'm talking about a permanent driver to drive him around, as he had another incident right before the Masters. But we send our sympathies out to Tiger, and we send our congratulations out to Rory.
Getting us back on track here a little bit, maybe the best golfer here on the Push to Pass podcast. And again, I know Josh just missed the Masters cut by a matter of strokes, but maybe the best golfer here on the show. Michael, how are you doing? I know it's been a minute since we've spoken, obviously, but how are things over there?
Michael, you're on mute, or you're not being broadcasted. So as Michael tries to figure out his audio, he was echoing before the show, and now he's done something that has made him not be able to be on there. Derik, how's how are you doing? I know you've had you had a star-studded event down in Florida where you and your family were at. Nope, still can't hear you, Michael.
I'm not sure about star-studded events. I'm not sure where you got your information from.
Anywhere Denny Vance is a star-studded event.
Sources or sources, for that matter. Definitely not star-studded. But let's see if Michael's back with us.
Maybe.
Michael,
there we go.
There we go. I pushed too many buttons earlier. Anyway, what was the question? We were talking about golf, I think. I'm not a golfer by any means.
Well, you said you were the best golfer of all of us because you're the only one that doesn't golf that I know of.
I do golf.
Well, then you just don't play very often.
No, I don't play very often. I wish I played more. I just don't have time to play as much as it sounds like you and Derik do. I know earlier in our group there was a talk of a golf scramble, and the last time I did any sort of golf scramble, it wasn't very good. We finished last, so you wouldn't want me on your team. But yeah, maybe we could find a former IndyCar driver to drive Tiger Woods around. But yeah, I mean, it's been a crazy kind of week and a half or so. But yeah, we're back, which is good and excited. And I just realized that we're all we did not plan this, but somehow we're all wearing white T-shirts, which is pretty interesting. So yeah, I don't know what that means for this episode.
Hey, don't give our secrets. We actually did plan that, so don't lie to the audience. Okay, maybe we didn't, but if you are joining us for the first time, please, on any one of the three platforms that you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, or X, give a like, give a thumbs up. Give us a comment. We'll post it up on air. Also, if you're on Facebook, YouTube, or X and or Twitter, give us a like and a subscribe to the channel as well. Definitely love to see those numbers go up and love to interact with the individuals that follow us here on the Push to Pass podcast. But let's get into things that we have to speak about this evening. Like I said, we have a whole litany of those. Michael takes time out of his so busy day to go through and weed out what you don't need to know about when it comes to IndyCar, what you do need to know about. So, Michael, what are we looking at this evening to get episode 102 kicked off?
Well, I think first and foremost, it was announced today about the new qualifying format, which will go into effective immediately, but it won't see it until I believe it is Detroit, possibly. I think Detroit is the next street course we go to. Basically, they're reverting back to the Fast 6 qualifying that we had at Arlington, where it was single car qualifying there in the Fast 6, one lap, and then the best lap. The best driver who gets the fastest lap will be the pole sitter in 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I think that is for, if I'm not mistaken, it's for Detroit, the final street races, which would be Detroit, Ontario, and Washington, D.C., I think, if I remember those three correctly. But I think it's a good change. Josh is shaking his head no, so we'll get his thoughts here in a second. So I think it's a good change. I think it's less on the mechanical side of things to destroy cars. To just put in a fast lap over and over again. So I think it's I think it saves tires for the racing event instead of burning them in qualifying. So Josh, we'll definitely get your take there on that for your tire topic. And then also I think it just saves some excitement for the race, to be honest with you.
Well, you did bring up a good point that I didn't think of whenever I was shaking my head. It does save tires, but I like the oval. I like go one car at a time on the ovals. But if you've ever watched a qualifying in the Fast 6, when there's multiple cars on the track at a time, I think it brings an element of suspense because you gotta you got 6 cars out there, and all of a sudden, they're moving up and down, depending upon what their speeds and their times are. And I think, you run the race with the race has multiple cars on the track. So just because you can go around as fast with no cars on doesn't mean you're really that fast. It just means that that you may have a better setup than somebody else. But when you put other cars out there with dirty air and other things, other factors, I think it actually brings out the technique and the skill of the drivers. But I will concede that yes, it will save tires. But I just feel like it would, if you only have one car out on the track at a time, it just on those road courses, I think it just takes away some of the competitiveness, I would say, or the wow factor. As Pato O'Rourke's coming around, he's the fifth fastest car. We're only sending 2 to the fast 6 out of this group. Can he make it? He's got one more time. Time has expired, but he's on his last lap. Can he push it out? I mean, it brings some suspense to it, in my opinion.
It seems like to us, Josh is a natural at calling IndyCar races on the radio. We might have to get that set up. But you know what? I like the fact that IndyCar is shaking things up a little bit, trying different things, especially when it comes to qualifying. I may be in the minority with this, but definitely love the fact that IndyCar, Michael, is shaking things up and trying to make qualifying a little more interesting.
Yes, I totally agree. And a rebuttal to Josh, I think it's more on the aspect of just for a driver to get a clean lap in on a street course, because they are so narrow. There's those spots on the track where you can get kind of hung up behind someone and there's not a good passing opportunity. And remember, that's just for the road or the street courses, not the road courses. And obviously we run single car on the oval. So your traditional street course there with Detroit, Ontario, and Washington, D.C., that the Fast Six, just the Fast Six will be that single car qualifying. And then, your road courses will be the normal traditional Fast Six, where it's, all 6 cars on the track whenever they want to be on the track.
Okay, so I was misinformed. So it's just when they get down to the Fast Six that they're going to have it. They'll have the multiple cars on track trying to get into the Fast Six, though. Is that correct, or am I incorrect on that also?
From what I read, yes. That is correct. It'll be segment 1, like Group 1 and Group 2 will stay the same how it is through that now, how it is. It's just the Fast Six will get that one car at a time, not all 6 cars on the track. That way, like we've seen it multiple times at Detroit, where cars are, stacked up in turn 4 and 5, and someone's on the one that automatically comes to mind is Romain Grosjean at Detroit a couple years back when he was in the 28 DHL car. He was on it could have been the fastest lap ever turned at Detroit. And I think he got hung up. It was either Joseph Newgarden or Santino Ferrucci just hung him up. And I believe it was in turn 5 and 6 there at Detroit, right before you get on that long straightaway coming down the back, right there by the GM Renaissance Center. And Grosjean was, obviously livid. So I think it takes that kind of, killing someone's lap when they're on a fast lap, especially on a street course, like I said, when there's not a lot of areas to get out of the way.
Okay, then I retract my statement and add another thing. And you've read the article. I didn't. I only glanced at it. So you only get one lap, correct? It's not like a time thing where like we're going to set 30 minutes aside, and you can as many laps as you can get in. We'll go in order of 6, and then after that, if another car wants to try to go faster in the 30-minute time, it's just one lap, correct?
It's just one lap. It's not like Indy where you get multiple attempts. It's one lap.
Okay, then you know what? I can see that. I retract my statement. I'm okay with this change.
Derik, do you have anything you want to add to the qualifying change besides the few statements you had as far as the change? I agree with you. I like the change.
I am shocked that Josh ended up changing his stance on this, because it seems like in the past, when Josh has his heels dug in, it's usually his word is gospel to him. But I'm shocked that he changed his mind. Michael, you made one hell of a prosecutor there. You're presenting your case and changing Josh's mind.
I guess I tried, and I succeeded this time. I don't normally succeed, so that's pretty good. I know that Josh and I kind of got into this topic earlier, and it's kind of alarming that what's going on here with the month of May, just a couple of weeks around the corner. But there's a lot of negativity, I would say, right now. And Josh, I know you were pretty critical earlier, but I would love to get your take. Just kind of a little brief intro into May so far.
So my question to you is the month of May dead? And when I say that, I mean, growing up, I wasn't a large IndyCar fan. I knew of the Indy 500. I didn't follow the IndyCar series itself. And from talking to the old timers, the ones that they've been going out to the track, like my uncle and his friends, they've been going out to the track since they were young. You'd have carb day was a lot of times was skip day from high schools. People would be out at the track every single day during May leading up to the race. And I think, in my opinion, it's watered down. Now, the day of the race is not watered down. It is still the same from what I've heard from everybody else. The pageantry showing up at 5 a.m., the cannon going off, all the way. The race is fantastic. But I just feel like the month of May is no longer holds a prestigious or as high regard as it used to. You now have, it used to be IndyCar. The Indy 500 was the only race in May. You're going to have 3 races in May. You're going to have 2 at the IMS, the road course, and then the 500. And then at the end, you're going to have a race in Detroit. Now, how long ago, how many years do we have to go back to? Would that be sacrilegious to have multiple races in May? May is supposed to be stuck on the 500. Carb day, still a fun time. Not a big fan of the Counting Crows or Switchfoot this year. Once again, once again, Doug Bowles, you have failed me. You have not brought in an act that is appealing to, that's going to bring people out. People are going to go out to Carb Day just to get drunk, to see what they got. There used to be a race on Carb Day with the Indy Lights, the Indy Next Series. They don't have that anymore. I hear that's due to some sort of liability type of thing. But it's just, I think the month of May is losing its luster. There's another subject we're going to talk about. There's only going to be 33 cars in. There's only 33 car entrants. I remember hearing back in the old days, the bump day was one heck of a day. You'd have so many cars lined up, ready to go. One would go, and we would just continuously have cars being bumped. And that doesn't happen anymore. Maybe once in a while you'll get 34 cars and one person will get bumped. But then later on, somebody will crash and they'll get into the race. But my opinion, the month of May doesn't hold as much prestige as it did back in the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, and even the early 2000s. Your guys' thoughts?
Oh, wow. Lot to digest there. I'm going to take it, I guess, from is the month of May dead? I like the chat there, the little poll there. I would say no, it's not dead. Has it evolved? Yes. Has it evolved in a way that's good for the teams? Yes. Has it evolved in a way that's good for the fans? No, I don't believe so. I believe we have what I don't want to use this word, but I'm going to. I think we have too much politics in the sport right now. When I seen a report earlier this past week where we now have, I believe, 31 confirmed cars. I believe next week we will get the 32nd entrant announced. And then we should get to 33. I don't believe we'll go past 33. And the reason why is because Honda and or Chevy don't want a car to be bumped. And I get that no team wants to be bumped from the 500. We seen it, last year with Jacob Abel, and we seen it the year before with Graham Rahal, and the emotion. I mean, the emotions of Graham Rahal on the side of that car. I mean, it was horrible to see, but at the same time, it's the biggest race of your. I want to ask this before I go too far, and I'll ask both of you this. Is the Indy 500, is winning the Indy 500 more important than winning the Astro Cup?
In my opinion, yes, it is. Because you have drivers across all platforms. Maybe not in F1, but I know IndyCar and NASCAR. If you asked them where would they want to win, a majority that I've ever heard have said Indy. So I would say Indy would be more than an Astro Cup.
I think I'm going to agree with Josh, and I don't do this very often. But yes, I'm going to agree with Josh, and why I'm going to agree with Josh is fairly simple. Michael, I know how avid race fan that you are. If I was to ask you, or ask an old timer, as Josh calls it, out at the track, who won the 1993 Indianapolis 500? I'm willing to bet you somebody that attended the 1993 Indianapolis 500 would be able to answer it like that. But if I was to ask them who won the Astro Cup in 1993, they're going to give the same look that all three of us are going to give us. We're going to have that dull look on our face like we have no idea. So I would say winning the Indianapolis 500 is more prestigious than winning a single season Astro Cup.
Okay, good. I'm glad we're all on the same page. I recently went last week. There was an off week, so I went to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Museum. And I didn't see very many tributes to the Astro Cup in there. But I seen several cars dedicated to the Indy 500. So what are we? I don't know what we're looking at here. Is this the confirmed
entry list for the 2026 Indianapolis 500?
Okay. I believe the only one is there only 31 currently? Yeah. The only one we're missing is Jacob Abel. He's going to be running with Abel Motorsports. And then it comes down to 33. Who's going to be that 33rd entrant? What team's it going to be? Right now, it sounds like it's leaning towards AJ Foyt Racing, with kind of some help from Roger Penske. It sounds like a little bit. They already have a technical alliance, and it sounds like the driver would be Catherine Legg. So that's that should be the last two drivers to be announced. Be Jacob Abel and Catherine Legg. There has been several rumors out there about some other teams maybe wanting to fill a team, but it doesn't sound like it's going to go past 33. So I ask this question to you guys as well. If no bump day, what do you do for qualifying for the 500? How would you spice it up?
It's a good question. You could do half the field locks in on Saturday, and whoever doesn't qualify on Saturday, you have Sunday to qualify. That's you set the top. If I'm doing my math correct, 30, that's 15. Let's top 18 make it in on Saturday, and the other 15, 17, I can't do math in my brain right now, qualify on Sunday.
Here, let me throw a curveball. And Michael, I know you pay attention to NASCAR better or more efficiently than me and Josh do. What if there's not 33 cars, which again, that's still up in the air. What if they did the same style of qualifying that NASCAR does to get into the Daytona 500? What would be your thoughts on that?
You want like an exhibition race before the 500? Is that what you're proposing there?
I think there'd be people that'd be all for that.
I think the teams would revolt. Could you imagine a Saturday? You have less than a week before the 500, and I know it's happened. I'm not opposed to that, but I know it's happened where cars have crashed in qualifying. But could you imagine if 4 or 5 cars get in a big crash? Not only are you jeopardizing your Indy 500 car that you've worked a year on, you're jeopardizing your driver. And I know people are going to spout off that you could get injured in qualifying as well. I get it. We've seen the practice crash with James Hinchcliffe. We've seen practice crashes in the past with, drivers getting kind of, bounced around and they're not, we're not sure if they're going to, be able to qualify or practice, but I don't know. I think you could get fans out and you could get some new fans behind that. Your traditional fans they're going to blow a lid. We can blow a gasket. That'd be a better term since we're racing. But I don't know how to. How do you get fans to show up for qualifying day now? Obviously when you lock in, the 13 through 33, you have a lot of fans there seeing that. But what do you do to kind of spice up Sunday? Because Sunday now, all you're going to have is the top 12 going, for the pole. And well, that's exciting. It's not kind of exciting to see. It's not as exciting to see who wins the pole as to see who gets bumped, because that seems like a bigger race within itself. So it'll definitely be interesting to see. I think it's just going to be a traditional, we'll lock 13 through 33, and then Sunday we'll lock in the pole, 1 through 12. But I just wish IndyCar would, if we have enough politics where Chevy and Honda don't want to have a driver, miss the field, well, then we need to have some politics behind what we can do to make qualifying a little bit more interesting.
Let me ask you a question, Michael. When you say Chevy and Honda don't want it, are they controlling that by only having a certain allotment of engines that they're giving to the teams? Is that how it's happening?
Yeah, that's probably. I don't know officially how they're trying to prevent that, but that's definitely a possibility to where Chevy's like, we're only given this many, and Honda's only obviously given this many. I think the biggest blow to this, though, the biggest blow to this whole 33, maybe 34, maybe 35, and I tried to do some research on this. I cannot find the last time a full-time team entered a season, won the pole for the Indy 500, and are not entering a car in the following Indy 500. Prema is not entering a car in this year's 500, and they won the pole for the race last year. How do we allow that to happen? How in this day and age, in the sport, how do we allow that to happen? That right there shows if it was financially feasible to win the pole for the Indy 500, why in the world would Prema not enter at least one car in this year's 500?
Just not financially feasible. They did it 1 year. It was an experiment. They were like, hey, we're going to try it. And the whole season last year just didn't, other than that one bright spot of winning the pole for the Indy 500, they just probably, they took a bloodbath in there on the money. They just probably don't have the money to go out there and do it, or the sponsorship to go out there and do it. I mean, this series, it's always had money involved, but I feel like nowadays it's so much more money, and the money is taking the joy out of this sport, because only a select amount of people can, and organizations can afford to go in there. You used to have smaller teams that would come in and be able to put an entry together, but now it's just so expensive. Like you said, or we've speculated, Honda and Chevy not wanting to give out they only want to give out a certain allotment of engines to teams, thus making it to where, the Honda guy didn't make it in, he got bumped out. I don't know why that would affect them or Chevy. One car didn't make it in, but you've got so many other Hondas, so many other Chevys that are in there and can win the race. So why would Honda or Chevy want to limit that? To me, that's just not bad publicity to me. I don't go to a car dealership and go, Honda last year, they had one of their cars didn't make it into the Indy 500. It got bumped out, so their engines must be crap. I'm going to go with Chevy. That doesn't fuel the consumer, in my opinions, thing. And I don't know why they would look at that as a bad thing.
All right, we're looking to spice up Carb Day. I think we're all in agreement with that. So, Michael, Josh, let me run this by you. You take qualifying Saturday and Sunday. You set the field on Sunday, except for the top six. The top six run off on Carb Day on Friday for the pole. What about that?
Oh no, those teams are not going to want that. 2 days to 1.5 days before the 500 goes off, and you want 6 cars to go out there and have the chance of having to back into the wall or do a flip or lose a tire. If there's no way in the world any of the teams would agree to that.
I have to agree with Josh. No team is going to do that. No team's going to want a day and a half to where if something happens to their car, they have to scramble to get that car even remotely ready for the 500. There's no way. I've been thinking about it as we've been talking. I think one of the best things we could do if we only have 33 cars is no one is locked in on Saturday. I think you qualify, and though you get unlimited attempts. You get unlimited attempts on Saturday. And whoever gets in there, and you take that running, whoever was first, they get to qualify. You invert it. you invert it. So whoever was slowest goes first. And then you kind of can, on Sunday, you run it that way and you run it backwards. And I just don't, that's the only thing that I don't know. Like it's hard to, I guess it's hard when you only have 33 to spice up qualifying. The 4 laps is what makes it, obviously, because you need 4 laps. What if we added I know traditionalists would lose their mind. What if you add a couple more laps to qualifying to make it to where you have to get, I mean, it's got to be a good average. Like if you have a car that maybe isn't the fastest, but you can average it out better over, a span of 6 laps instead of 4. And I know, traditionalists would be, losing it, but I don't know. I don't know how to spice up qualifying.
Yeah. At what particular point do we just stop listening to the traditionalists? Because eventually those traditionalists are going to die, and let's make a new tradition. There's always a possibility that we make a new tradition and we do something differently, because bump day, it may not happen. There is a good chance, like we keep talking about, it's not going to happen. So that's going to make traditionalists mad. So let's divert away. Let's do something different. And I know that's what we're talking about right here. But a lot of those traditionalists may be what's holding things back, in my opinion. What do you guys think about putting an Indy Next race on Friday? Do you think that would add a thing to Carb Day for us? I remember years ago that there was something like that.
Yeah, the Freedom 100 is amazing. It was a great race most of the time. You're going to have to get yet again. That's a little bit more politicking. You're going to have to get the insurance company is, from what the last I heard, it was, it's either $10,000 or $100,000 per car for the liability insurance for those teams, and you just can't afford it. So I don't know what we can do there, because they did it for years, obviously. So I agree, Josh. I think that would add an element to Carb Day, but I wish we could do it earlier. And the reason I say that is because Carb Day is Carb Day. It's been that way. But what if we could do it earlier? And IndyCar themselves has a team that they not necessarily put together, because I know that was a big thing with NASCAR. So you can do that. But like, what if there was a dedicated team like a Dreyer and Reinbold, or you look at one of the smaller teams? Maybe we could get, Prema, or, Juncos Hollinger to add a third car. And whatever Indy Next driver wins the Freedom 100 could have an opportunity to qualify for the Indy 500. I think that could definitely spice up not only the interest for the Freedom 100, but also to give that series just another eyeball to look at. Because unfortunately, the Indy Next series, while the traditionalists and the diehard IndyCar fans know about it, some people that tune in just for the Indy 500 might not know a lot about it. So if you could get the Indy Next driver that won the Freedom 100 to be in a Juncos Hollinger car, or Andretti, I mean, they had a 4th car lined up, but with, F2, adding a couple of races, since a couple of their races were canceled due to the ongoing conflict in the Middle East, maybe, that could have been an option for Andretti to run a 4th car. But since Colton Herta can't, run in Montreal and Indy at the same time, that's the issue. While Andretti isn't going to have a 4th car. So that, I think, would be, not only would it bring light to the Indy Next series, it would give a prospective driver an opportunity to kind of get their feet wet before actually running the full season.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of ideas, some that are good ideas, and the majority of them that I brought to the light were probably fables and never going to happen. But definitely a lot that can be done that can spice things up, not only for qualifying, but for Carb Day on Friday if the right people would just listen to the right podcast. All right, Michael, next topic on board.
The next topic is Long Beach. We're off to Long Beach this weekend, and the Acura, however you want to pronounce that. I know I've heard it a bunch of different ways. The Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach. And we have a defending winner. He's won the 2 of the last 3 races there in Kyle Kirkwood. I'm giving you guys some insight. Maybe you guys can catch me in the points a little bit by picking Kirkwood. Since I can't take him, I already took him once this year. So wink, wink to whoever can pick Kirkwood. But yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting track. It reminds me kind of St. Pete-ish. Not obviously the long runway, but it's kind of bumpy. It seems like it's gotten rougher and rougher over the last few years. And it just seems like Andretti has a hold on that racetrack, because I believe in 2022, Colton Herta won that race back when he drove, I believe, the 98 car. So that's definitely Andretti country. So it'll be good to see, or it'll be interesting to see how, if Will Power can figure out the brakes. It seems like they've had, a couple brake issues, obviously at St. Pete, and then obviously at our last track there at Birmingham. He had the brake failure there in qualifying and crashed pretty hard. So if they can figure out their brake situation, we know how, powerful Will Power is on the road and street courses. So it'd be interesting to see what he can do. And then obviously Marcus Ericsson has been really good this year. So I look for Andretti to definitely be someone to contend for a win this weekend.
That's interesting, Michael, that you brought up Andretti, because I jotted down some takeaways, and I did put them in an article and put them out before the show. But out of the 5 5 storylines, let's try that again. But out of the 5 storylines that I jotted down and put out before the show, Andretti was one of them, and I labeled it Andretti's street circuit revival, because let's talk Andretti here for a minute. Like you said, if there's one team that treats Long Beach like home turf, it's them. From Alexander Rossi to Romain Grosjean to the aforementioned Colton Herta, they've all shown race-winning pace here in the recent years, and history shows that. But in 2026, Andretti definitely looks a little bit different. Obviously, with Kyle Kirkwood being the points leader currently, they seem a little more organized, finishing a little more consistently. And that makes me wonder at Long Beach how much more dangerous Andretti Global will be. And is this team, and I want to ask the question to both of you, going into Long Beach this weekend, is this team truly back? As they roll off their haulers with speed at Long Beach, we could be potentially talking about a Andretti Global resurgence that lasts all season. This could be that defining point at Long Beach. So if not, if something was to go awry with this team this weekend, I think those questions are going to continually to come back about inconsistency in their race team, and those questions are going to get louder and louder. But to piggyback, though, curious to hear your guys' thoughts. If Andretti has success this weekend at their home turf at Long Beach, can we truly say that this team is back?
The question would be, what do you consider success? Is it one person winning the race and the rest of them, finishing back in the pack? Are you talking about 1, 2, 3 finish of Andretti? Because I don't see that happening. But what I will say is, if Andretti wants to make a move and wants to mark this down. It's been almost 45 minutes since we said this man's name. I don't think we've ever done that this long in the podcast. But if they want to be able to overtake Alex Palou, this could be the race. This could they if they come out and they dominate with their points leader right now and take a little bit more lead. I know the lead is down since Palou was. Since Palou had a mishap in one of the racetracks earlier this year, so if this is Andretti Global's chance to put some distance between themselves and Alex Palou, because if they want to overtake him, this is their best chance because this is their home track. They have, as we've said numerous times, they dominate this track. But my question would be to you. Is it just that their driver winning the race? Is that a acceptable? They dominated the track, or does it have to be multiples of their cars actually performing well? Because outside of Kirkwood, I mean, the rest of Andretti Global is a little shaky in my opinion.
Yeah, Josh, I agree with you. I think if Will Power can figure out the braking situation with those cars, I think he has the potential to be the underdog of Andretti, to be honest with you. And I hate to say that, but the way this season started, they need something, and that could be a big shot in the arm for that team. I would go out on a limb and say that if an Andretti car doesn't win, I would assume a Honda will win. And the reason I say that is because 8 of the last 9 races there at Long Beach have been won by a Honda. So looking over it, I mean, yeah, looking back, you look all the way back through here and you have, Andretti's won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the last 9, or 5 of the last 8. So twice with Rossi, Herta, and then twice with Kirkwood. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Derik, to your question, they've always been good on the street courses. So, I mean, clearly here it shows that. I don't know that we could say they're back. Are they closer? I'll give you they're closer. Are they back? I don't know what back means because they haven't been relevant for a few years. I wonder, was their last championship in late 2000s? Because I believe, let's see, they won the Indy 500 6 times, being 2016, 2017-ish. Their last driver championship was 2012, I believe, if I'm reading that correctly. And that was with Hunter Ray as the driver. So it's been 14 years since they've been champions of sports. So back, we're gonna need a bigger points lead. We're gonna need some bigger storylines, consistency. Kirkwood's been really good with that. Power's been consistently crashing, and Ericsson's kind of yo-yoing. So back, I wouldn't say back. Steps in the right direction? Yes, I would say steps in the right direction. And we'll see if that can continue this weekend.
Josh brought up an interesting driver that we talk nothing about on this show. So I have to go to another storyline going into the weekend. Okay, we do talk about him. Sorry, I was being facetious. But is this track the Palou problem? This is a storyline that obviously refuses to go away. The dominance that Alex Palou shows on the track week in and week out. But it seems to me, outside of his one hiccup at Phoenix, which may not have been his fault, depending on who you talk to, Alex Palou just refuses to slow down. and the reigning champion as he rolls into Long Beach. In my opinion, already looks like he's in midseason form. But I think the one thing that the paddock needs to be cautious about going into the weekend, in my opinion, I think this is Long Beach is a Palou track. Technical corners, Josh's favorite, tire management, precision braking. It's everything that he does better than anybody else in the field, in my opinion. But the real question heading into this weekend, and you two may have just touched on it, is the field already chasing him? Obviously, we know that Kyle Kirkwood's the points leader, but by a slim margin, as Michael just pointed out to, is the field already chasing him, or does Long Beach finally give someone a chance like a Kyle Kirkwood, like a Will Power, to punch back? Because we've seen drivers in dominant eras before, but Palou's consistency is starting to feel, in my opinion, inevitable. And as we've witnessed in his domination the past few years, if he rolls off Friday off the truck and has a great first practice session, I believe that the paddock rather, is going to be in for one hell of a long weekend.
Well, like I was saying, this is Kirkwood's best chance. He's got to put some distance between him and Palou, because this is a Andretti dominated track, as we keep saying. But he's got to do something to be able to put some distance. Now, that doesn't mean that Palou's going to go away easily. And this does line up to be a Palou track, but it's an Andretti track, so I'm going to give the edge to them. But in your question, is the field already chasing him? I don't think the field is chasing him, but I do think that they're kind of running neck and neck, the field and him, but he's starting to inch away. So they're not chasing him yet, but if he has a fantastic showing this weekend, especially going into next month with him sweeping the two races last year, it could start to get hairy pretty quickly.
I'm not ready to write the season off yet for chasing Alex Palou, but I'm not there to say that he's not going to be someone of dominating the season. I just went through and looked back at since 2021. This is Palou's finishes at Long Beach: 4th, 3rd, 5th, 3rd, and 3rd. So if you ask the question, is this a track for Palou? If it's not Andretti, it's probably Palou. So that would be my answer to that question, because he's right there in the mix every race. So one hiccup from any of the Andretti cars, and Palou could not only win this race, but take the championship lead as well.
Here, let's see how you guys feel about this. If there is a dark horse driver that needs to have a great weekend outside of the Andretti stable and the aforementioned Alex Palou, would the name Scott McLaughlin come to mind? Obviously, he had a rough barber. There's no way around it. With that crash, the horrendous crash that he had in practice number 2, had to qualify with a backup car, and he drove through the field, but he never really recovered to the Scott McLaughlin standards. But is there a chance here at Long Beach for McLaughlin to flip the script, so to say? Team Penske historically here does show up on street circuits, and with McLaughlin's driving style, smooth, calculated, and aggressive, I think Long Beach fits him perfectly. I just wondered, can he bounce back? Drivers talk about all the time having that short memory, and confidence is a fragile thing in racing. A strong Friday could go a long way for McLaughlin's season, but a messy one could compound and put more pressure on him as they go into the month of May. Thoughts on maybe Scott McLaughlin breaking that stronghold by the Honda team?
I mean, the last Chevy team to win this race was Team Penske in 2022 with Joseph Newgarden. So when you look at the top teams, you look at Andretti, Chip Ganassi, and Team Penske. They're all sitting there with 7 wins in the column. So someone may take that lead this weekend. I just don't know that it's going to be McLaughlin, to be honest with you, because like we've said, it's a Honda track. Honda puts their name on it for a reason, more than likely. They've pretty much dominated it over the last few years. And like I said previously, if it's not Andretti, it's probably going to be Palou with as dominant as, I wouldn't say as dominant, but as a consistency, as consistent as he has been over his career at Long Beach.
Scotty Mac's having a tough season so far, in my opinion. And I don't see that changing this week. We get into May, it may change. He may be a reinvigorated, but I don't see him having a resurgence this weekend for this weekend. He could prove me wrong. We'll see what happens on Friday in qualifying, or Saturday, whenever they're qualifying. But you were talking about a dark horse that needed to prove themselves this weekend and needed to come out and have a strong showing. And mine's not an individual; it's a team. Arrow McLaren needs to come out and do something. You know, they've been quiet all season. They haven't done much. If Pato Award is just not living up to the hype that we keep giving him. Nolan Siegel, I don't know what's wrong with him. I don't know if it's just the fact that he's young and, maybe he stays up too late playing Fortnite or whatever them kids are doing now, playing Fortnite, Roblox, whatever. The only one that we keep talking about is Christian Lundgaard. He's the only one that's doing anything from Arrow. But I think the Arrow McLaren team needs to come out and pull their proverbial heads out of their rear ends and figure out if they want to win a championship in the next couple of years, or if they just want to be the cool new kid on the block that has all the money but can't back it up with their cool colors, kind of like Oregon.
Josh, I couldn't agree more, except for maybe I've never seen Nolan Siegel on Fortnite. Just putting that out there, and I play quite a bit, so don't be.
He's in private games, sir. You don't have the cachet to play with him.
Well, that's true. Probably not. I don't have any. I'm not any good at the game. I just enjoy playing the game. The dark horse that I had was Pato Award. But, man, I just don't know what's going on over there. Is it the new building? The new building's giving them curses or something? Danhausen went over there and cursed him, or what? I mean, geez, it is rough over there at Arrow right now, because they can't get anything going right. Pato, obviously, at Barber was just not happy at all. Was actually asked at one point to move over to let Christian Lundgaard go through. That's not something you want to hear on the radio, to just let your teammate go by after you've been lapped. So they've got to figure it out. Obviously, Lundgaard is sitting third in the points. He's 35 points out, though, which, I mean, early on in the season, you can make that up, but it's tough. And, Pato's sitting sixth. He's only 50 out. So, it's still there. We just got to clean up some stuff there, Arrow. And I agree, Josh, with you 100%. At some point, Arrow's going to have to show up and continually be there week in and week out. It can't be a one-hit wonder. I want to see that team win multiple races with multiple drivers year in and year out, because the money that they have says they should be doing that. So why they can't, and we talk about it. I think every episode we've talked about poor Nolan Siegel on here, but we've talked about it before. It's time to put out or ship out. And I mean, he is 23rd out of 25 drivers in points. He is only ahead of Mick Schumacher and Stingray Robb. One is a rookie who's never been in an IndyCar, and the other is Stingray Robb. But you look ahead of him, and he's got an ECR car. He's got another Rahal car. He's got another rookie in front of him, and this is how sad this is. He's got 2 Dale Coyne cars ahead of him, and one of those Dale Coyne cars is ahead of a Chip Ganassi car. So what are we doing here with Nolan Siegel? Yeah, look at those stats. I mean, that's 19 laps led in an Aero car. Oh, this is his career. I don't think he had any laps led in the Dale Coyne car. I mean, it's nothing. 4 starts, 0 wins, 0 poles, 0 top 5s, 3 top 10s. It's rough. Rough for that organization. They've got to turn it around.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think Josh has a very valid point. And Michael, I know you didn't want to say it, but basically what you were saying, not only to, Arrow McLaren, but to Pato Award and Nolan Siegel particularly, I think it's either time to shit or get off the pot, is I think what you were trying to say, as Josh is giving me the thumbs up over there. I believe that should do it for our preview of Long Beach, unless Michael or Josh, you have anything else to add to that. That should do it. I think we do have a few more topics here before we drop the checkered flag on another episode of the Push to Pass podcast. So, Michael, what do you have? Well, before we get to that, Michael, you do have one of our guests that has just stepped in to the room. So let me bring this gentleman on. Everybody, as always here on the Push to Pass podcast, we try to get the first look at what the weather is going to be like at Long Beach, California this weekend, and none other than IndyCar weatherman will bring that to us right now. Good evening, sir.
Hey, good evening, gentlemen. And the forecast this weekend is pretty straightforward Southern California forecast. So not expecting a whole lot of impacts from a weather perspective for the race weekend. So they're actually starting the week off with a few rain showers in the area today and cool temps in the mid 60s, which I think is where we were with race temps last year. It was a little on the cool side. And but that system moves out basically today into tomorrow, and then they go on a warming trend as they go into the end of the week. So by the time we get to Friday, I'm expecting sunny conditions out there, temps in the low 70s. And then we may see a little bit of high cloud moving in as we go through the weekend and just a little bit warmer. But I still think we're sitting in about the mid 70s range Saturday and into Sunday. We'll keep a little bit eye on winds. It might be a little bit breezy on Friday, as I indicated there on a graphic, but certainly nothing like we've seen at some of the other races regarding winds this season already. We'll kind of just tweak that and dial in the temps a little bit as we get closer. But otherwise, it should be pretty quiet for the race.
Do you expect and I know this is early in the week, so this is probably maybe a little tough for you to answer at this moment, but do you anticipate any weather changes, weather pattern changes in between now and first practice on Friday?
So that's actually a pretty good question, because looking out a little bit further, right? Basically a week from now, 8 days from now, there is another system that comes in kind of the Monday, Tuesday timeframe. And that could bring some rain into the area in Southern California. So this far out, right, we're really early in the week. It's certainly something that bears watching, right? But we'd have to see that speed up basically at least 24 hours before I start to get a little bit, concerned it might have an impact on Sunday. But again, because we're so far out, I mean, you're right to kind of highlight, hey, let's kind of look out in the future there. That is something just to keep an eye on. I'm not, concerned about it at this point, but yeah, as you know, right, the further we go in these forecasts, the more things have an opportunity to change over the week. So, yeah, so we'll keep an eye on that and see if obviously update as we go along.
Michael, Josh, before we let the weatherman go, any questions that either one of you have for this weekend's weather report?
Not for me.
Nope, no weather questions. Just thank you for coming on.
Yes, thank you.
All right, then. If that does it for the weather report, early weather report, I should say. Again, if something does change in between now and first practice on Friday, where can people find your work at?
Yeah, so I've been posting forecasts both on X/Twitter and Blue Sky. If you guys search IndyCar Weatherman, my product should come right up. So I'll keep that updated this week. And you guys have a great evening.
All right, good stuff as always. Look forward
Yes, thank
if
you.
there are any updates that you'll have them posted, especially on the X or Twitter link down below. But again, have a great evening, and we'll talk again soon.
Sounds good, guys. Have a good one.
All right, and that was the IndyCar weatherman. Definitely go check him out if there are changes in the weather for this weekend, which sounds like it could be picture perfect, a California weekend, as he stated there. But again, if there is changes, you can go to his Twitter or X account that was scrolling in the bottom, and you should be able to pick up those changes. Michael, Josh, I know we have just a few more topics left to go. We may have hit on this next one, but Michael, what do you have for us?
Yeah, just who's hot, who's not, but let's kind of swing it around. We kind of already kind of touched on all this, but we talked about who needs a good run, but let's see, what rookie do we think might have the best race here this weekend? So that would be Dennis Hauger, Kyle Collette, and Mick Schumacher. Which one of those three drivers do we think might have the best opportunity here at Long Beach?
Wow, this is I think this is a very tough question, just for the simple fact that these three individuals don't have a lot of seat time, especially when it comes to Long Beach. So we've watched so far the lack of experience and laps that Mick Schumacher unfortunately has not been able to run in 2026. So you know what? I definitely like what I'm seeing early from the young Dennis Hauger. So that's going to be my pick. I think Dennis Hauger is going to have the best finish out of all the rookies on Sunday.
Well, I mean, I was going to go with them too because he's got the most time behind a wheel of an IndyCar type of car, as being the reigning champ of the Indy next. I mean, he's Mick Schumacher. I think he's still trying to get his feet wet in the series. I'm hoping he does really well just because of who his dad was. I was a fan of his dad. Went to one race when the F1 used to be here. But I hope he can figure it out and start to just finish races. I don't even know if he's finished a race this year, but he sure can whip that car around after he spins out and get it going right. But I'm going to go with Hauger, but I'm rooting for Schumacher.
Yes, I am rooting for Schumacher, but I'm not going with Hauger. I'm going with Kyle Collette. And the reason I say that is he has been running better than he's finished. I think if that team can kind of get everything lined up, I believe that he can be the best rookie finisher. I feel like his overall race pace is decent. I don't think he qualifies as good as the car probably can. But I do believe that he has good race pace, and with that organization, I feel like he's running really, really well for that second car that doesn't always seem to have the speed that that Santino Ferrucci has. So that's definitely the driver that I am looking for as far as the rookies go.
All right. I think we have one last topic, unless I'm mistaken, Michael. I know this is the one that you want to brag about the most, so I think we should just skip it. But that's just my opinion. But go ahead.
Fine. We can skip it right onto the screen. So there you go. We skipped right onto the screen. It is our points picks from this year, and so far, I've kind of crushed it with two winners, back-to-back winners. Unfortunately, I don't believe I'll be able to pick either one of the drivers that have the potential to win this weekend. I do get to pick first, which is good. Maybe I can curse all the other drivers. I'll make a couple of phone calls and see if I can't get some curses going on here. But yes, hopefully I can pick up my third win of the season and become Alex Palou, and we can me and him could take a picture at Indy, and we could have two champions.
Yeah, your phone call's not going to go unanswered because he's in Vegas this weekend, and he's got to curse all those people in the slot machines. Although I do need him to not curse the slot machines I'm going to be on in July. But I have no points. I am in the basement. I am the cellar dweller. I'm kind of like IU football was before Kurt Signetti came onto the scene. I'm gonna win one of these days. I'm gonna get it because you know what? You guys are gonna run out of all the top contenders, and I'm gonna be forced to take one of them. So don't call it a comeback. I'm gonna come back. It's gonna be the greatest comeback since Kim Kardashian. If you get the gist.
I don't have to make a lot of calls to curse people, as Michael alluded to again, and Josh dropped the name earlier. I'm just going to call Danhausen, and he's going to say, Michael, you are cursed.
I'm probably not cursed, but I'm running out of good drivers. So, I've picked two drivers. I picked Palou and I've picked Kirkwood. So, can't pick them this weekend, and if it's going to be an Andretti team, I might have to pick Ericsson. So we'll just have to wait and see. As always, we'll post those Sunday morning after warm up, so Derik isn't pushing us on Saturday night. That way, he's like, "Who are you picking? Who are you picking? Who are you?" I think he asked us 4 or 5 times Saturday night. I think he had a driver in mind. So What time is it? It's 8:13. He's asking for the time, so it's 8:13. He's always trying to get timing from us. So it's I like to see morning warm-ups before I pick my pick, but Derik, he's all about time management, I think.
There's a song that said time is on my side, but obviously not when it comes to making our race picks on.
Only if you win.
Josh, I'll give you the last word. Anything else that you want to add to this conversation before we slide on out of here and close another episode of the Push to Pass podcast?
No, I had a rant in my brain, but I'm gonna save her for May. It's gonna go back to Doug Bowles. It's gonna go to my old adage. But when we get into May, Doug, I'm coming for you because God, you just can't pick musical acts to save your life. But we're gonna get into that in May. I can't wait.
Michael, I think the musical act that Josh is just yearning for and can't wait for his favorite president, Doug Bowles, to announce is John Fogerty. That's who Josh is waiting for. And if you know, there's an inside joke about John Fogerty that we'll have to tell for another time. Michael, anything else to add before we get on out of here?
No, nothing else to add. Just ready for this weekend to see the IndyCar. Oh, what? Actually, I take that back. If you are watching the IndyCar race this weekend, it starts at 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. It follows the NASCAR Cup Series race from Kansas. So a little bit later start time for those little people out there on the West Coast.
You know, that's gonna hurt Michael because he may have to go to bed before the race is over with. So,
that's true.
He's able
That's
to
true.
DVR it, or I guess whatever the cool kids do these days.
This is the only night of the week I stay up past 8:30.
Wow, look at you huge night owl, you. But yes, pay attention to the race times this weekend. Obviously, if you're Michael, you got to stay up a little later on Sunday to catch the race. You can stay locked into the Push to Pass podcast on all of the social media platforms that have been scrolling down on your screen for the majority of the show for updates, articles, anything that's taking place out at Long Beach this weekend. We'll definitely have it covered. You can also go over to yournews.com for articles, podcasts, things of that nature as well. So a huge thank you, as always, to IndyCar Weatherman for joining us. Huge thank you to both Josh and Michael for everything that they do. They contribute here on the Push to Pass podcast. Definitely gearing up for the month of May. It looks like on the surface, I know I'm getting a little bit ahead of ourselves here, but looks like on the surface, we're definitely going to have a lot of angles covered. Also working on a couple special guests here in the next couple weeks as well. So we'll see how those pan out. But before we get into those, again, huge thank you to both of you for everything that you do and everyone out there that follows, watches, or listens to the Push to Pass podcast. Thank you very much. So for myself, Josh, Michael, and everyone else that makes up the Push to Pass podcast, until next Monday, when we're talking about discussing, analyzing, and reviewing what we witnessed at Long Beach this weekend. Until then, so long, everybody.